Good afternoon and evening, everyone. Welcome to tonight's podcast. I am your host, Mr. Akuma. I thought it was a little while, so I decided to come out and say hello to everyone. How are we all doing?
Yeah, just got on.
Yep, I can hear you, good sir. So we are joined with Mr. Kevin. Say hello to the world, Mr. Kevin.
Hello, Mr. Kevin.
And we have a mystery person here, Brendon. Appears to be here, but maybe not here. So, with Melbourne in lockdown and the rest of the world still burning from the infection that is COVID, I've been looking around and I've been very, what's the word? Jealous that a lot of people can go out and play Maximum Tune. However, in Victoria, we're still down in lockdown, unfortunately. Kevin, how's the world hanging for you?
It feels like it refuses to give up at this rate. My country is already lost control of the infection rate. So like we were already seeing signs like things will be operating like as it used to be, even though we still have these restrictions in place, like face masks. Uh, I think people are getting restless and people are just forgetting that, we still haven't really recovered at all. So the only thing I can say is that it's just gonna get worse. And really, at this point, you may as well hope for herd immunity
Yeah,
to
and
work.
that's true, We have two extra people here. Mr. Ryan. Ryan, hello.
Hey, bro.
How are you? Say hello to the whole community out there.
Hello to the One Gun community.
Thank you. And of course, we have a veteran, Mr. EJ Star Star Star.
How's it going, guys?
There we are. So, as always, shout out to Crescent Storm, Anime Fan 401, and Sam YZX for joining us very early on in the stream. The Council of Shitlords has been called to order today for a very specific and I don't know how else to explain it, but a travesty that is happening in the Maximum Tune world that I feel needs to be addressed. Does anyone want to jump in and speak about this travesty in a bit more detail?
Yes, it's about Mr. Kevin. Fuck you, Mr. Kevin.
Oh my god. Kevin, you can explain.
Yes.
Yeah, Kevin, you can talk about yourself.
Yeah, so lately there's been news about a person named Kevin that has apparently been found stalking a specific member of the NT community, and it has really concerned him. The details are not even clear. No one really knows like what really is happening, but this person's really riled up about Mr. Kevin.
Now you say that there is accusations of stalking. Can you elaborate on these accusations?
Well, let's see. It's this person has collected like a bunch of evidence of that one specific member with like a ton of footage of videos from like deleted live streams and such of that person acting really irrational and unsportsmanlike. And having all that information means that that stalker, has all the evidence needed to fire at him.
So, as I'm hearing that, just from my basic and very amateur knowledge of how technology works, you could probably say that it's no different from a web crawler just sitting on a website, and anything new that gets published, it literally just archives what's been published for safekeeping, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I mean, it actually is a good thing to make backups of stuff on the internet. Like these things can get deleted anytime. It really sucks when you like have like a YouTube video that you put on your favorites, like since maybe 2008 or sorts, and you come back because you remember that video, and then you look over and it's like it says it's deleted.
Had that happen to me multiple times where a tutorial or a gameplay or something really funny online happens and for some reason it's taken down. So these web crawlers or these archivers, or as I would like to dub them, the watchers of the internet, they're doing us a great justice, don't you think?
They really are. It's like there really is someone watching back, or like there was taking care of this stuff. It's like they really care about that person as well, which I think is a really nice thing. It's like you don't think of the internet as a friendly place, but
Gen-
that's a friendly gesture.
yeah, generally. I mean, if someone decided to back up all my stuff, I'd be very humbled. I'd be very happy that someone has taken a lively interest into the things that I've been doing. But it also goes back to the number one rule of the internet, and that is that if you don't want anyone to know about it, don't post it in the first place, don't you think?
I agree.
So as we go deeper into this issue, does anyone else have any comments with regards to what we've spoken up so far? The so-called watchers of the internet doing us all a great service and acting as the guardians that is of our I guess of information, I suppose. Ryan, EJ.
Stemming from what Kevin had said, right? Like obviously through I've been on Facebook for almost like 11 years, and some of the stuff that I've posted in the past, like because it's on my old phone, and obviously we upgrade our phones quite a lot, so in the process, like some of the stuff that like childhood memories, high school memories will get lost, and I feel like like what we post on the internet, what gets posted is what we want people to see, especially when you can select your audience. Like for example, if you want to put it on YouTube, it's for the whole wide world to see. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then if you want to share something between like a select audience, you would select it as, for example, on Facebook, just friends, and that would be okay. But with that being said, like you are giving consent to your friends being able to save it, and like for example, like there's a couple of like older photos from high school that I've lost, or like it's been corrupted, and I was in touch with one of my high school friends really recently due to COVID, and he still had like those photos and videos, and we reminisce from it, and I feel
Oh,
like
my
it's
thing cut out. So one sec.
that's all right. So let me know when to start talking again.
There we go. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, no, not a problem. Anyway, continuing from there, right? I like I've had a high school friend that was in touch with me, and like we've been really good friends since high school, and there's some stuff that we reminisce about, obviously with childhood and high school memories, things that maybe I've forgotten, or things that maybe I've lost over the time, like for example photos, videos, and like I know it sounds really cringe, but one of our dad's videos from when we were in year 9, like he brought up really recently, and if he didn't save it onto his computer, and because for me, like I've changed my computer a couple of times, I've changed my phone many times, like I wouldn't even have it, and like I feel like it brings great joy knowing that it still exists. It's kind of like like people do you a favor by saving things, because you can share it later on and look back on it.
Yep. That's a very interesting point. I mean, the whole idea with these memories is that so we can look back on them and I guess reflect on who we were previously. Ryan, is there anything that you want to touch on there?
I mean, EJ covered like the basis of it, I guess. Like, even like on Facebook, you see like, oh, 5 years ago I said this, or I was here, has that nostalgia value about it.
All right, and that's fair. Now,
Yeah.
all right, let's go a little bit deeper, and let's talk about content creators, and what it means to be a content creator. I suppose. I mean, you have a lot of people that are on OnlyFans and all that marketing gears and whatnot, and they clearly know what they're doing. They know that the content that they release is going to be around, it's going to be circulated, it's going to be distributed amongst the I guess the masses, whether or not it's intentional or if it's not intentional and it's for backup purposes. But as a content creator, what do you think is the most important aspect that that a content creator has to keep in mind as they make things and as they, I guess, project themselves in the world?
You need to know, like, the way you portray yourself on the internet is what people think of you, and you want to be, like, for example, for myself, like, I work in a bank, I have to be professional at times, and then outside of it I can be whoever the fuck I want, but I still have to bear in mind how I act is what people think of me. So I'm always very wary of how I act. Obviously, like, I'm still myself because everyone's unique, but you still have to think, okay, should I say this or should I do this, because am I happy with people, like the whole world seeing that? Am I happy with my boss seeing that? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like adhering to like your own etiquette, your own status quo. Before you act, you have to think about what are you doing? Is it problematic? What would others think about me? I feel like there's probably something that even like the concept of face is much needed
Yep.
in using the internet.
Yep. And I agree. I mean, a lot of the stuff that I put out there is very censored. A lot of people that know me very well know that I can be, at the best at times, outrageous and just plain obnoxious. However, a lot of the content that I think about, that I release in the world, is something that I'd like to project outwardly and have people remember me as, rather than me play up as an angry or a monster or someone that's a complete what's the word I'm looking for, erratic person. I'd like to think that I'm considered as someone that's more of a commentator, a content creator that is literally just putting stuff out there for people's enjoyment, but also is having a bit of shits and giggles whilst I'm doing that. It's just, at least from my point of view, feel free to jump in and tell me I'm wrong, but I mean, a lot of people that are out there that are content creators. So I'll touch on a couple. So Dr. Disrespect, he outwardly portrays himself as like a badass, as like the best, as someone that is better than everyone else. You've got who's that PUBG player that went to COD? I forgot his name. Shroud, that's him. So he's a very chilled, relaxed, very humble person, and these are the things that he's very conscious of, that are his persona and his branding. You've got other people that do cosplay. Obviously they do provocative art. They put content out there that obviously appeals to the masses. However, you do have people out there that are content creators that obviously want to portray themselves a certain way, but when they are reminded of the erraticness and I guess of how they portray themselves online to the masses, that goes against their branding and image, decide to lash out and decide to threaten and decide to well, what would you guys say? Have a tantrum? Is that accurate?
Yeah, it's kind of like they want to be genuine, but then when it really comes off as like incorrect and that is going against what they believe is genuine, then that's where the trouble starts with what they perceive themselves as.
Yep. Yep. And it's these content creators that are obviously two-faced, that are happy to take all the accolades, but then when they get put in their place, or when they are reminded that, you know, they aren't the angels that they claim to be, you know, they go into an attack mode, they go into a self-preservation mode, and, you know, I need to eliminate this threat, and then they have a tantrum online, further, I guess, evidencing their previous behavior, and then, you know, decide that what you're saying is wrong and they are correct because they are the content creators. So as a content creator, we don't get to decide, you know, how people perceive us. We just have to be the best that we can possibly be, right? But I digress, and let's just, you know, keep going and keep delving into the issue. So does anyone have anything that they want to bring up or talk about at this stage?
We need to talk about the stalker.
The what was that?
Yeah, the stalker, that person who has been that person named Mr. Kevin.
Okay. So obviously you have a topic that you want to speak to about this stalker X, aka Kevin. You know, floor's open. You know, proceed.
All right. So what? So this person actually managed to obtain an address of that content creator, and that has been very worrisome for that individual, because what is the possibility of like getting swatted, right? Or getting like prank or source just by that address leak alone. But so far, there's nothing been done about it at all, and that stalker has been pretty quiet about it as well. I don't think there's any harm that is intended from that stalker.
Here's the thing, what constitutes as stalking? Like, obviously, you said that this Kevin person has the address of an individual. However, through both my line of work and through my own experience, like, I openly give out my address because, for example, if I need to order something online, or if I need like validation, or for example, right now, if we're going out, COVID-19 check-ins, we need to provide our name, our address, mobile phone number. Like, we're giving our personal information, but like, it should be the standard norm. Like, it's like, if someone has obtained this information, like, you know, from, you know, like, obviously data sourcing, then that's fine. But, you know, like, what's the boundary between collecting data and actually making it stalking?
I'm happy to answer that. That there's a very fine guide, a fine line to what consists of stalking, and it really is whether or not the individual themselves that is the subject of the stalking is happy for the attention that is given towards them. It also, you know, eclipses harassment as well. But simply having an address of another person, or simply having information of another person, is not stalking. That's just general information that is available. Now, for argument's sake, if people decided to look into, you know, content creators' history or past, or, you know, or actively look for things that may or may not be easily accessible, those are probably borderline stalking. Now, don't get me wrong, if it's publicly accessible information, then that's fine, because it's in the public, it is there for everyone to have a look at. It is something that can be accessed by anyone. However, in the same word, if, for argument's sake, I inquire about, you know, someone's address to an associate between me and the content creator, and that person freely gives it out to me, that's not my fault. That's their fault, and that's a different issue altogether, right? I've simply asked a question, and another person's answered it, and by all means, if that information was meant to be secret and withheld, then the individual that knows that information should have known to begin with not to give it out to anyone else. Again, publicly available information if someone gives it to you freely. However, stalking then goes on to, various degrees. So, for example, Edward, EJ, if you then access their personnel file in the Combank registry or anything else, that is considered as stalking, and a bunch of other things, in regards to, the ethics of code of conduct. You've also got Privacy Act issues. You've also got legal issues with regards to your job. So these things are very real, and these are, serious consequences. As I said, the fine line between stalking and publicly accessible information is very, very thin. However, as a content creator, if I give clues, if I, broadcast where I may be or where I live around, or, openly advertise, this is my area, I live around here, or, X, Y, and Z, then obviously these are publicly accessible information and are not constituted stalking. Similarly, if this Kevin person decided to back up my whole archive of YouTube, that is not stalking. That is simply just a collector archiving something, and does not constitute any type of stalking at all. Just so we're clear on that one. But anyways, that's how I feel. I mean, I'd be very, happy if someone, backed up all my stuff for archive's sake. Like, I certainly don't have archives of anything, and literally YouTube's where a lot of my content rests, and that's it. But, anyways, sorry, Kevin, I've taken over. Continue on your discussion.
All right. So there's an accusation of stalking to that one content creator, and it's gone as far to say that that person is now being targeted, which, according to that person, is fully deserved. From what I heard, the stalker actually obtained this address from another person who was actually was like an ex-member of that content creator community.
Okay, so I mean, considering that you have multiple aspects on there, you've got the aggression from the content creator, which is somewhat petty. And very, there's a word for it. It's not revenging, but it's vengeful. That's it. Very vengeful. Mm-hmm. You can probably argue that the person that gave the initial address to the stalker has some sort of vendetta against the content creator. Now, let's just back up a second. If you're part of a circle and you leave on amicable terms, and obviously, being part of a circle also entitles you to specific pieces of information. Don't get me wrong, but also goals are aligned, and people that you obviously don't want to know specific pieces of information would be known towards all parties. So after I leave this circle, if someone approaches me and says, hey, can you give me some information? I would say, look, it's not my place to give you any information. I was a part of that circle. It's not my place. I'm sorry. You're going to have to look elsewhere. People don't give information to others unless they either don't like the person that they're asking about, or they like both parties. Now, I believe in this case, just judging from, the vengeful actions of this particular content creator, I think it might be like a revenging thing against the content creator. Now, I might be completely wrong. I might have jumped to conclusions here. I don't know too much about, what's going on. I've only seen this at a superficial level. But it seems to me that that particular piece of information is a very key aspect to the content creator. And obviously, people's home addresses are very sensitive pieces of information. And it's not given out freely. A lot of people don't know exactly where I live. I've, speak very freely about the areas I live. And I give my address to only a very few specific individuals. However, it's not something that is given very freely unless there is bad blood between the two. Wouldn't you agree?
Agreed.
Yeah. Okay. So Kevin, continue on your story.
Okay, so Mr. Kevin so far has been targeted now by the content creator through his content actually. So every time that person is making a video of uploading like a story mode from classic MT, there would always be like at least one part of the video that person would just shout out, "Fuck you, Kevin."
That seems very very antagonistic. How dare someone feature constantly another person in their stream? It just sounds to me that is a very immature thing that person is doing. That person should just focus on their stream and their stream alone and the topic of their stream and nothing else. Like, I find it absurd that a streamer and or content creator constantly features or antagonizes another subject in their streams. Now, I'm not going to say that I have not done this. I will openly say that I've done this. However, the main point of my streams are commentating, not gaming content creation specifically. So I don't play MaxiTune too much. I don't continue to focus on MaxiTune. I don't do like a path to, triple S or whatever. It's a commentary on the Maximum Tune community and nothing else. Therefore, antagonizing or bringing up other people is more than acceptable. And I'll put my hand up and say I have antagonized, a couple members of the community, specifically one member or organization, I should say, of a community that changed their name to something else ridiculous because they may or may not have been a Facebook group dedicated to maybe antagonizing this particular organization, group, or people or individual because we wanted our OCMs back. But how dare he? How dare that content creator take away the focus of his stream to antagonize this one person called Kevin? That I find that absolutely appalling and is very not positive at all. I'm sorry, Kevin. I've taken over. Continue.
Yeah, so that just was pretty vicious. That's pretty rude. Like, and it's like no one knows who this Kevin is. So not even the community is aware of this person's issue with a so-called stalker.
Okay.
So
can you see any issues that the stalker or the supposed alleged stalker has against the content creator?
I don't see any issue. It's like if someone has the address and it's like, oh, okay, that's my address there. I don't think there would be anything like bad intentioned to be done to the content creator just by a leaked address alone.
I can see like the opposite side of that particular address is a very serious piece of information, and it can be used in very various ways to I guess, twist the arm of the content creator. If it was me personally, I'd say, look, man, like, don't be a dick. Like, you know, you have this little piece of information. I'd just like for you to just forget it. And I'd put that in writing and, you know, say to him, look, you know, out of respect for each other and for the gaming and for the community, could you please not release this particular piece of information, because it's quite sensible and it is a very sensitive piece of information, and I honestly do have concerns that you may or may not leak this to other parties or individuals that may take things further. And then I would leave that to the stalker, and then upon receipt and otherwise, I would gauge that stalker's response, and hopefully they're like, yeah, cool, fair enough. But there are a lot of ways and a lot of methodologies to deal with this. That's just one of them. That's just how I see it.
Yeah, if that person is that concerned, I'm pretty sure that content creator would have gone straight to the stalker, because that person already knows who the stalker is. Why not just ask them, hey, can you please do not do this to me? It's like, I am concerned that you have this information about me. I would really like it if you wouldn't play around with this very sensitive information. Yep. I think that is a fair solution for the content creator to do.
And I don't think that's unreasonable. And I mean, like, I would be safeguarding myself with, you know, the read receipt and all the rest of it, and, you know, just being as amicable as possible. Because obviously, if it does get leaked, it can be traced back to a source and whatnot. So, you know, that being the case, you know, if something were to happen and something were, you know, to transpire, at least you've put your olive branch out there and said, look, you know, don't be a dick. You know, this is we're all members of the same community, you know, and let's just, you know, be amicable about it. But, you know, I don't know too much, but continue, Kevin. So what else has transpired?
It's quite disappointing that content creator's response to Mr. Kevin is just rude. It's pretty low of it, because it turns out that this content creator has now made like a notification ping that says that one specific line that he says in every video. Fuck you, Kevin.
So that in itself is very antagonistic. That
very
rude.
Very rude. Like
very childish.
Yes, I mean, you know, how dare he create something to antagonize another individual or group or organization? That's just absolutely ropeable. That's just a terrible move. Like, you know, I don't think that I've ever come up with any sayings or shoutings or chants or catchphrases that deliberately antagonize another group, person, or organization. Like,
OCM.
Look,
that's 3 letters, bro.
That's you know, I'm just talking about the online championship match. Okay, OCM, yeah. No, everyone knows. I'm absolutely being satire here. Like, I've done this on multiple occasions. Thank you, Saws, for those OCM jokes. But at the same time, like, you know, if Saws directly contacted me and said, "Hey, mate, knock it off. It's, you know, it's obviously, like, you know, causing us problems," I'd be like, yeah, cool, no worries. Like, it's just a bit of a joke, but, like, I really appreciate you coming to me and saying, like, you know, don't do it. You know, and if they did have a problem with it, I'd you know, be more than happy to turn around and say, yeah, cool, no worries. I'll remove all this content and, you know, I'll tone it back. You know, but it's one of those things that is part of the community now, and it's become a little bit of a meme. And they should be what's the word I'm looking for? Flattered that, you know, their name is known and, you know, their history is such a massive, important part of the Maximum Tune community, you know, and what they've done for the game has been absolutely, you know, amazing. It's just, you know, one little blight of history has just been their downfall. But as I said, if they turned around and said, hey, Mike, you know, like, we don't appreciate it, I'd be like, cool, no worries. Thank you for letting me know. I will stop. It's just how you act as a organization, individual, or content creator that then becomes, you know, I guess your legacy. But continue, Kevin.
Yeah, so it's very petty. It's really petty that that content creator has now decided to play the same game as well by revealing Mr. Kevin's full name on his streams. And what happens is, it's like every time a person donates to that content creator's channel, it will always play a notification that says "fuck you, Kevin," and it also reveals that person's full name.
Yeah, so that revealing of a full name, that's probably a bit of a very cheap shot and very antagonistic to the Kevin person. Has this Kevin person, do you know if he's contacted DXMT and said, hey man, can you knock this off? Like, it's getting a bit ridiculous.
No, there's not. It's like this is actually something that Mr. Kevin, from what I've heard, is just a surprise now. It's like, this is what's happening. Is all this person has been doing is just been archiving all these previous videos from the content creator.
Okay, fair enough. And with the notifications and the full name giving, like, how do you feel about that?
It's really impolite, because like what's being traded here is it's like an address to a full name.
Okay.
And it's like there's no vitriol at all between the two parties at all. It's like there's nothing being done about the address. There's been no consequence so far, and I'm pretty sure if the content creator made contact with Mr. Kevin, there would have been an agreement of sorts or a deal just to knock it off.
Yep. So there's no communication between the two. It's just been, you know, something that you should know, and therefore I'm just going to antagonize you for you to forget this piece of information, allegedly. Like, I don't understand what they're antagonizing this Mr. Kevin by giving his full name is meant to do. Like, I still don't get the end goal.
Like, what's happening is he's trying to make like a brand new reputation of Mr. Kevin.
Okay.
Because the community of that content creator has not heard anything about who Mr. Kevin is. They have never heard of it. And now they're starting to hear it, and it's like they don't even know what is this Kevin is, so they're free to interpret who Mr. Kevin is. And based on what they can hear of like what the supporting evidence of Mr. Kevin, they think is this person must be a negative stalker.
Yeah.
Of sorts.
You could call this like a media blackout or a whitewashing of sorts that you know, paints a particular person in a particular light without having, you know, all the pieces of information readily available to everyone. It's just, you know, here's a hate object. Everyone should hate him because I hate him. Like, don't you agree?
Yeah, it becomes like that.
Yeah, and I think as someone that is a content creator that has heaps of followers and supporters, for them to, you know, see this individual in the wrong light seems to be a very wicked thing to do to this Mr. Kevin, because they don't know who this Mr. Kevin is. his full name being advertised, online is something that's very, personal, very personal, and it's doing himself a disjustice by, or a disservice, by seeming really petty, by saying, fuck this Kevin guy every time. When we don't even know what he's done. What has he done?
Yeah, it was just know an address. That's what I see.
Yeah. Has this? Do you know if this Mr. Kevin has passed this address to you or anything?
No, Mr. Kevin has not passed that address at all to anyone.
Oh, see, and I think that shows a lot of what's the word I'm looking for? Respect. Respect.
Yeah, respect, restraint.
Yep, restraint. Very trustworthy, a trustworthy source. I mean, considering that this Mr. Kevin's a watcher, he must have, massive amounts of archives of other people's things. So, just because he has one piece of information doesn't mean he's going to use it in a bad way. But, so, continue. Is there anything else that's happened of this saga?
Well, no, it's just that it's brand new. It's a brand new trend on that channel, and so far everyone is like, oh, I don't know who this Mr. Kevin is, but I bet he's an asshole.
Kind of reminds me of that one time that I had a fight with Steven Snook, and everyone wanted to know who Steven Snook was, and yeah, an absolute snake of a guy, fishing people, and being a very bad influence in the community. It just shows how quickly a lot of followers can react to things and act accordingly to what a leader says, and then may or may not take things on the back of their own hands. I mean, as a content creator that's in the lead of their, I guess, game, as this individual may or may not be, he has a responsibility to ensure that what his content delivers is fair, accurate, and above all, not antagonizing other parties. Don't you agree, guys?
I agree.
Yeah, that's really good. That's something I really agree with.
Yeah. So, look, I hope this Mr. Kevin gets some sort of respite, some sort of resolution to the problem, and hopefully, the victim of stalking reaches out and says, "Hey, man, can we just have an agreement between us? And if you do ever release this piece of information, I'm not going to be happy, and I just trust you that you're going to do the right thing." And hopefully this works out. Is there anything else that we want to talk about before we drop this bombshell?
Mr. Old Man Jimmy Mabashi has been very silent. I think he has something to say.
Mabashi's on? No way.
Am I on? Oh, I am on.
You are.
Oh, wow.
Mr. Mabashi, please lend me your ear. Tell me, how do you feel about this whole thing?
To be honest, I only joined like last 10 minutes ago, so
Okay.
I don't even know what you're on about, but
Okay.
sounds like a particular person is, I guess, naming another person.
Yep.
Well, I don't know. If I was you, if I was that person, I would just contact, the creator and be like, "Well, could you remove my name?"
Yep.
That's probably the best way. And if there's any beef between it, just sort it out.
Yeah.
It's not that hard.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he's a reasonable person enough to remove it.
Yep. Fair. And worst case scenario, you get someone to act as a mediator between them, and just ensure everything's in order, and tries to mediate a good solution between the two. I see that we have Mr. Aaron online. Aaron, care to chime in? Thanks, Aaron.
Thank you, Aaron.
Thank you, Aaron. Thanks, Aaron.
So there we have it, folks. We have the saga that is the Kevin, this alleged stalker that is being targeted by a specific content creator on his streams, which is a little sad to say. I mean, you know, if you have to coin your streams and make memes just to get along and get supporters, you know better than well, do I dare say his name?
Addressing the situation.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, you know, best way is just have a chat with the guy and sort it out. If that doesn't work, fucking contact the police. It's not that hard. I'm pretty sure federal police is going to be willing to have a chat with people that is publicly shaming other person.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. It's slander and libel and all that other stuff, and giving that piece of Yep, that's it. So, we don't want to go down the legal pathway. We want to sort things in-house. So, obviously, hopefully, Mr. Kevin and Mr. Content Creator come down to an agreement, and Bob's your uncle.
Exactly. It's like we're all adults at the end of the day, and it's very easy to kind of just like it's all you have to do is just talk. It's communication. Like, for example, I had a coworker who did not respect me, who would always talk about me behind my back, and instead of going on and going blah 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 blah, Georgie's talking shit about me, she doesn't fucking respect me, fuck her, she doesn't do a good job at work. Instead of that, it's so, instead of going down that pathway, I just went up to her and said, hey, do you have 5 minutes? I'd like to talk. Hey, look, I know we're not exactly the best of friends or best of co-workers, but it is work, and I'm sorry if I do make you feel this way, but I'd like it if you stop doing that, and if we could just let us be. And then after that, I've never had a problem with her.
Yep, and that's fair. Good example. Let's just be communicating with one another and being positive towards another, and the world will resolve itself. So. Anyways, guys, it's coming to the end of the stream. Is there anything else that we need to disclose or talk about or anything?
I feel like Mr. Kevin is a good fan of the channel.
Good. Which channel? The alleged content creator that's being stalked, or this commentating channel of the world of Maximum Tune?
Sure, I'm pretty sure it's both of them. It's especially that content creator, because there's always good material from that content creator that everyone can use.
Yeah, that's true. It's true. Content out there is good content that is worth archiving, and if we weren't going to archive it, then obviously it's shit, right? So.
Yeah, and that person has a lot of subscribers and a lot of viewerships and uploads daily.
It's a shame.
Yeah.
Anyways, guys, thank you for joining in on the podcast of Shitlords. Stay tuned for next week. We'll have something new and exciting, or quite possibly a lot of shit talking. Who knows? But until next time, see you guys.
Bye.
Bye.
See you.